I'm standing at my kitchen counter at 5:30 in the morning, basting the turkey for the third time, when I realise I've been doing this for 32 years. 32 Thanksgivings of getting up before dawn, of making everything perfect, of setting the table with the good china and pretending my back doesn't ache from all the preparation. The kitchen smells like butter and sage. I've made my mother's stuffing recipe, the one that takes 2 days because you have to dry out the bread just right. I've made 3 pies: pumpkin, pecan, and apple, because Jessica mentioned once, maybe 5 years ago, that she liked having options. I've polished the silver, I've pressed the linen napkins, I've created the kind of Norman Rockwell scene that exists mostly in magazines and the imaginations of exhausted mothers. My daughter is 30 years old now. When she was little, she used to stand on a step stool next to me, her small hands covered in flour, her face serious with concentration as she helped me roll out pie dough. She'd ask me questions about everything. Why does the butter have to be cold? Why do we put nutmeg in the pumpkin pie? Why does Grandma's stuffing taste different than the store kind? I thought we'd have Thanksgivings like that forever. I thought she'd bring her children over someday, and they'd stand on step stools in my kitchen, and the tradition would continue in that warm, golden way you imagine when your children are small and still look at you like you hung the moon. That's not what happened. Jessica married Derek 3 years ago. I tried to like him. I really did. But there's something about the way his eyes calculate when he looks around my house, taking inventory. The way he whispers things to Jessica that make her face change, make her look at me differently. At the wedding, he'd pulled me aside, put his arm around my shoulders like we were old friends, and said, "You've done such a great job with this place, Margaret. Must be worth quite a bit now, with the market being what it is." I'd smiled and extracted myself, but something cold had settled in my chest. Since then, Jessica has changed. Or maybe she hasn't changed at all. Maybe I just finally saw what was always there, underneath the little girl with flour on her hands. The doorbell rings at noon, right on time. I wipe my hands on my apron and take a deep breath. Through the frosted glass of my front door, I can see 2 figures. Jessica is checking her phone. Derek is looking at his watch. I open the door with my biggest smile. "Happy Thanksgiving." Jessica doesn't look up from her phone. "Hey, Mom." Derek steps past me into the house, already unwinding his scarf. "Smells good in here. Not too dry this year, I hope." The comment lands like a slap. Last year's turkey had been perfect, but Derek had made a show of cutting it, examining each slice, pronouncing it just a touch overdone. Jessica had nodded along, even though I'd seen her take 3 helpings. "I think you'll find it just right," I say, keeping my voice pleasant. "Can I take your coats?" Jessica finally puts her phone away. She's wearing a designer dress I don't recognize, something that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget. Her hair is perfectly styled, her makeup flawless. She looks like she's going to a fashion show, not a family dinner. She kisses the air near my cheek. The house looks nice, very traditional. The way she says traditional makes it sound like an insult. "Thank you, sweetheart." I wanted everything to be special. Derek has already made himself at home in my living room, settling into my late husband's favourite chair, the one I still can't bring myself to sit in, even though Tom's been gone for 7 years. Derek puts his feet up on my coffee table. "So, Margaret," he says, his voice carrying that false friendliness that sets my teeth on edge. "Jessica and I have been meaning to talk to you about something." I'm taking their coats to the hall closet, and I freeze. The tone is the same one he used at the wedding, right before he started evaluating my house's worth. "Can it wait until after dinner?" I call out. "Everything's almost ready." "Actually," Jessica says, and she's standing right behind me now, "we'd rather discuss it now, before we eat." I turn around slowly. My daughter is looking at me with an expression I don't recognize. Her eyes are hard, her mouth set in a thin line. She looks like a stranger. "Of course," I say. "Let me just—" "Mom, we need money." The words are flat, direct. No preamble, no softening. Just a demand. I set their coats down on the bench by the door. "What do you need money for, honey?" Derek stands up from the chair, walks over to stand next to Jessica. United front. They've planned this. Derek's starting a business, Jessica says. We need about $50,000 to get it off the ground. It's a sure thing, a real opportunity. $50,000. I think of my retirement account, the one I've been carefully managing since Tom died. The one that's supposed to see me through my old age, pay for any medical care I might need, keep me from being a burden on... I stop that thought. Because that's exactly what they're counting on, isn't it? The fact that I'd never want to be a burden. That's a lot of money, I say carefully. It's an investment, Derek says. His voice has an edge now. In our future. In your daughter's future. What kind of business? Derek waves his hand dismissively. Cryptocurrency consulting. The details aren't important. What's important is that we need the capital, and we need it soon. The opportunity won't wait. I look at Jessica, my daughter, the girl I raised, the one I sacrificed everything for. She's not looking at me. She's looking at the floor, her jaw tight. Jessica, honey, can we talk about this privately? No, Derek says. Whatever you have to say, you can say it in front of me. I'm her husband. The way he says it sounds like ownership. I need to think about this, I say. $50,000 is... You have it, Jessica interrupts. Her voice is sharp. We know you have it. Dad's life insurance, the house, your pension. You could give us this, Mom, if you wanted to. If I wanted to. As if the only thing stopping me is selfishness. Let's have dinner, I say. We can talk about this more after... I don't want your charity dinner, Jessica's voice rises. I want you to help us. For once, I want you to actually do something that matters. The words hit me like physical blows. I think of the 3 pies cooling on the counter. The turkey I've been basting since 5:30 in the morning. The table set with china my mother gave me, each piece carefully washed by hand because they're too delicate for the dishwasher. Jessica. Do you know how embarrassing it is? She continues, and now the words are pouring out, venomous. Having a mother who lives in this huge house, who clearly has money while Derek and I are struggling, while we're trying to build something. You're not struggling, I say quietly. You both have good jobs. You live in a beautiful apartment. You just took a vacation to Hawaii. That's different. Jessica's face is flushed now. That's our money. Money we earned. Not the money you're hoarding while pretending to be some kind of martyred mother making turkey dinners nobody even wants. The kitchen timer goes off. The turkey is ready. Excuse me, I say. My voice doesn't sound like mine. It sounds distant, cold. I need to take the turkey out of the oven. I walk to the kitchen. Behind me, I hear Derek say something to Jessica, his voice too low for me to make out. Jessica's response is clearer. She's being ridiculous. In the kitchen, I pull the turkey from the oven. It's perfect. Golden brown, the skin crispy, the juices running clear. It looks like something from a magazine. I set it on the counter to rest and stand there, staring at it. I'm remembering things, little things I've pushed away, explained away, made excuses for. Like last Christmas, when Jessica had given me a gift card to a department store, $30, and I'd given her the pearl earrings that had been my grandmother's. Oh, she'd said, barely glancing at them. These are nice, I guess. Kind of old-fashioned. Like her birthday 2 years ago, when I'd thrown her a surprise party, invited all her friends, baked her favourite cake from scratch. She'd been annoyed that I hadn't checked with her first, that the date conflicted with something she'd already planned. She'd stayed for 20 minutes, like the time she'd asked to borrow my car for a weekend trip. And I'd said yes, even though I'd needed it for my own errands. She'd returned it with an empty gas tank and a scratch on the bumper. No apology, no explanation. Like every time I'd watched her children, my grandchildren, for free, sometimes for days at a time, while she and Derek went to concerts or dinners or weekend getaways. How she'd pick them up without even asking how they'd been, just bundling them into the car like they were packages I'd been storing for her. The memories keep coming, faster now. Her sweet 16 party, where I'd worked 3 jobs to pay for the dress she wanted, the venue she picked, the photographer she insisted on, her college tuition, which I'd covered entirely, taking out a second mortgage on this house, the down payment I'd given her for her wedding, even though Tom had just died and I was drowning in grief and medical bills. I hear footsteps behind me. "Mom," Jessica's voice is tight. "Are you going to answer us or not?" I don't turn around. I'm looking at the turkey, at the 3 pies, at the bowl of mashed potatoes I've whipped until they're cloud-light, at the evidence of my love cooling on the counter. "I've given you a lot of money over the years," I say. My voice is steady, calm. "Haven't I, Jessica? What does that have to do with anything?" I turn around now. Jessica is standing in the doorway. Derek is right behind her, his arms crossed. "I paid for your braces," I say. "All 4 years, $3,500. So, I paid for your college. All 4 years, nearly $100,000 with room and board." Jessica rolls her eyes. "That's what parents do, Mom. That's your job. I gave you $10,000 for your wedding, even though I could barely afford it. I watched your children every week for 2 years, never asked for a dime. I drove you to work every day for 6 months when your car broke down. I bought you a new laptop when yours died and a new phone when you dropped yours. I paid for your root canal last year. $1,500. Where is this going?" Derek asks. His voice has gone cold. "I've given you at least $200,000 over the course of your life," I say to Jessica. "Maybe more. I haven't been keeping track. And not once, not one single time, have you said thank you. Not once have you asked if I could afford it. Not once have you considered that I might need that money for myself." Jessica's face flushes. "I can't believe you're keeping score like this, like some kind of accountant." "I'm not keeping score," I say. "I'm stating facts." "Facts?" Jessica's voice rises. "You want to talk about facts? Here's a fact. You're living alone in this huge house, sitting on all this money while your own daughter is asking for help. What kind of mother does that? The kind who's been taken advantage of for 30 years, I say. The words hang in the air between us. Derek steps forward. "Jessica, let's just go. Your mother's made it clear where her priorities are." "No," I say. "Stay. The dinner's ready." "I don't want your dinner," Jessica shouts. And then, so quickly I barely register it, she grabs a plate from the counter, one of my mother's china plates, hand-painted with tiny blue flowers, and throws it. At me. I duck. The plate shatters against the wall behind me, shards of porcelain exploding across my kitchen floor. For a moment, nobody moves. Nobody breathes. "You're selfish!" Jessica screams. "You're selfish and you're cruel and you've never cared about anyone but yourself." I'm staring at the broken plate, at the pieces of my mother's china scattered across my kitchen floor. Some of the shards have landed in the mashed potatoes. "Get out!" I say. "Gladly!" Jessica spins around, storms toward the front door. Derek pauses. He looks at me with something like satisfaction in his eyes. "This is on you, Margaret. When Jessica cuts you out of her life, remember that you chose money over your own daughter." Then they're gone. The front door slams hard enough to rattle the windows. I stand in my kitchen surrounded by the ruins of my mother's china and my perfect Thanksgiving dinner, and I start to laugh. It's not a happy sound. It's the sound of something breaking open, something that's been locked away for too long. My phone rings. I almost don't answer, but then I see it's my neighbour, Patricia. She lives 3 houses down and we've been friends for 20 years. "Margaret, are you okay? I just saw Jessica and Derek tear out of your driveway." "I'm fine," I say automatically. "No, you're not. I'm coming over." Patricia. "You don't have to—" "5 minutes." She hangs up. Patricia arrives in 4 minutes, carrying a bottle of wine and wearing her most determined expression. She takes one look at my kitchen, the shattered plate, the untouched feast, my face, and sets the wine down. "Tell me," she says. So I do. I tell her everything. About Derek's schemes, about Jessica's demands, about the plate. Patricia listens, her face growing darker. "That little—" She stops herself. "Sorry, But Margaret, you know this is abuse, right? Financial abuse. She's my daughter. And that makes it worse, not better. Patricia starts helping me clean up the broken china. How long has this been going on? I don't know. Years, maybe. I kept thinking she'd grow out of it, that she'd mature, realize that you're a person, that you have needs and feelings. Margaret, as some people never realize that, especially if you keep enabling them. I sink down into one of my kitchen chairs. I just wanted to be a good mother. You are a good mother. You've been a wonderful mother, but she's not being a good daughter, and at some point that's not your fault anymore. That's her choice. We're silent for a moment, cleaning up the pieces. Do you know what the worst part is? I ask. I'm not even surprised. When she threw that plate, I thought, yes, this is who she's become. And I've known it for a while. I just didn't want to admit it. Patricia squeezes my shoulder. What are you going to do? I don't know. But that's not quite true. Somewhere, in the back of my mind, an idea is forming. A boundary. A line I should have drawn years ago. The next morning I call my lawyer. It's the Friday after Thanksgiving. But Martin answers anyway. We've known each other for 15 years, ever since Tom's death. Margaret, everything okay? I need to make some changes to my will, I say, and I need to set up some new accounts. Can you help me? We meet on Monday. I explain the situation. Most of it, anyway. Enough for Martin to understand. You're sure about this? He asks. I'm sure. He draws up the papers. My house, my savings, my retirement accounts, everything I have will be split between several charities when I die. Organizations that help women, children, families who actually need it. Jessica will get $5,000. Enough to be acknowledged, not enough to matter. I also open a new bank account that Jessica doesn't know about. I move most of my liquid assets there. The old account, the one Jessica has been watching, waiting for. I leave with just enough to cover my basic expenses. It feels like taking my life back. Over the next few weeks, Jessica calls twice. Both times it's because she wants something. The first call, she needs money for Christmas presents. For your grandchildren, Mom. Don't you want them to have a nice Christmas? I say no. The second call, she doesn't even pretend. Derek's business opportunity is still available. We only need $40,000 now. Mom, this is important. I say no again. Both times she hangs up angry. Both times I feel lighter. Patricia stops by often. We have coffee, we talk, we laugh. She tells me about her own children, her own struggles with boundaries. It helps to know I'm not alone. You're doing the right thing, she says one afternoon. We're sitting in my living room. The winter sun streaming through the windows, even if it doesn't feel like it. It feels terrible, I admit. It feels like I'm losing my daughter. You're not losing her. You're refusing to lose yourself. 3 weeks after Thanksgiving, I get a letter in the mail. It's from Jessica, and my hands shake as I open it. The letter is 2 pages long. It's full of accusations, insults, justifications. I read it twice, trying to find any hint of self-awareness, any acknowledgement that she might have been wrong. There isn't any. But at the bottom, in a postscript that seems almost accidental, she writes, I don't understand why you're being like this. You never used to care about money. I put the letter down and stare out the window at my snow-covered yard. She's right, in a way. I never used to care about money. But that's because I cared about her more. I cared about her so much that I would have given her anything, everything, even if it destroyed me in the process. What she doesn't understand, what she may never understand, is that loving someone doesn't mean erasing yourself. It doesn't mean accepting abuse. It doesn't mean standing still while someone throws plates at your head and calls you selfish. I write back. 1 paragraph. Jessica, I love you. I will always love you. But I will not give you money anymore. I will not let you treat me this way anymore. When you're ready to have a relationship based on mutual respect, I'm here. Until then, I need to take care of myself. I mail it before I can change my mind. Christmas comes and goes. I spend it with Patricia and her family, and it's lovely. Strange, but lovely. Nobody demands anything. Nobody calculates the worth of the gifts. We just exist together. On New Year's Eve, I make a resolution. It's simple. I will live the rest of my life for myself. I will travel. I will take classes. I will spend my money on things I enjoy. I will stop waiting for my daughter to become someone she's never going to be. It's not giving up on her. It's giving up on the fantasy. In late January, Jessica calls. This time her voice is different, smaller. Mom, are you there? I'm here. She pauses. Derek left me. He took most of our savings. He was cheating on me with someone from his gym. The business was a scam. There was never any business. I close my eyes. I should feel vindicated. I should feel satisfied. Instead, I just feel sad. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I need... Another pause. Can I come home? This is the moment. The test. The place where the old me would have said yes immediately, would have opened my door and my wallet and let everything go back to the way it was. You can come visit, I say carefully. But Jessica, I need you to understand something. The old rules don't apply anymore. If you come here, you treat me with respect. You speak to me with kindness. You don't ask me for money. Can you do that? Silence on the other end of the line. I can hear her breathing. Yes. Yes, I can do that. Then come over. Tomorrow for dinner. We'll talk. She arrives at 6 and she looks terrible. Her eyes are red, her face is pale, she's lost weight. When I open the door, she starts crying. I hug her, because she's my daughter, and some instincts are stronger than hurt. But when she steps back, when we sit down at my kitchen table with cups of tea, I don't back down. I'm sorry about Derek, I say, but I'm not sorry about my decision. I'm not giving you money anymore, Jessica. That's not changing. She nods slowly. I know. I understand. I think I finally understand. Do you? She looks at me, really looks at me, maybe for the first time in years. You've always been there. Always. And I treated you like an ATM machine. Like you weren't even a person. Yes, I say simply. You did. I don't know why I was like that. Derek, he made it worse, but it was already there. This idea that you owed me things, that your job was to make my life easy. She wipes her eyes. I don't know how to fix it. You start by stopping, I say. You stop treating me that way. You stop expecting me to sacrifice myself for you. You start seeing me as a person who has her own life, her own needs, her own limits. Can we try? She asks. Her voice is small. Can we start over? I think about the broken plate, the shattered china scattered across my kitchen floor, the years of being taken for granted. But I also think about the little girl with flour on her hands, asking me why the butter has to be cold. We can try, I say. But Jessica, if you ever throw something at me again, if you ever call me selfish again, if you ever try to manipulate me like that again, we're done. Do you understand? I will not live through another Thanksgiving like that one. She nods. I understand. Good. Now, have you eaten? I made soup. We eat together. We talk carefully, like two people learning a new language. It's awkward. It's tentative. It's nothing like the easy relationship I'd always imagined we'd have. But it's real. And it's based on truth. And for the first time in years, I feel like I'm talking to my daughter, not to someone who's trying to figure out how to use me. After she leaves, I clean up the dishes and think about gratitude. Real gratitude, not the performative kind that comes out on Thanksgiving and disappears the next day. I'm grateful for Patricia, who saw what I couldn't see and refused to let me pretend. I'm grateful for Martin, who helped me protect myself without judgment. I'm grateful for my own strength, which I'd forgotten I had. And yes, I'm grateful for Jessica, for the possibility that she might actually change, for the door that's still open between us, even if it's much narrower than it used to be. I'm not naive. I know she might disappoint me again. I know Derek isn't the only problem. He just made it easier to see the problems that were already there. But I also know that I'll be okay either way. Because I've learned something crucial. Loving someone doesn't require destroying yourself. Being a good mother doesn't mean being a doormat. And setting boundaries isn't cruelty. It's survival. I look around my kitchen, at the empty chair where the turkey sat on Thanksgiving, at the spot on the wall where the plate shattered. Tomorrow I'll paint over the mark. I'll replace the broken china with something new, something that's just for me. But tonight, I'll just sit here in my kitchen, in my house, in my life, that's finally, completely mine. And I'll be grateful for the hardest lesson I ever learned. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is say no.